Hey, welcome to the Dirt Road with Mike and Rick. That's Mike.
Nice to see you again. Thank you for tuning back in again.
Now you say that's Rick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, he already said it's Rick, but it's Rick.
What's up, guys? If you're back, this is episode 2. Glad to have you back. Like, subscribe, comment. Mike says he'll read the comments. I won't, but Mike said he will.
I will.
Anyway, today we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about for a long, long time. What do you got on tap for us, Mike, if you're still alive?
So, I haven't died yet. Well, at least I don't think I have. Anyway, we are going to talk about the living corpse in the White House and the current election coming up in November 2024.
He's not
This
as
is
nice
what
a
we're
guy
going
as
to talk
I am.
about. No, my nice was blown off in Ramadi. Sorry, folks. I don't have anything left between how many years as a detective, cop, the military. Like, there's just no nice left. I'm sorry. I try to be nice. I really, really do. I try and be a nice guy. I try to be a gentleman. I try not to curse. I try not to be rude. But there's not a lot left, and in this environment, or with this, I guess, format, this media, I'm not going to be nice.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, Mike, we all owe you a pass. Don't worry about it. What you did for this country, what you did for our city. I don't know about everybody out there, but I love you for it.
He served as well. 32 years as a teacher. God bless you. That's worse than combat. I'm not gonna lie.
Almost more life-threatening than being a cop, but not quite.
I think I'd probably take another tour in Ramadi than doing a tour in those schools. I'm not gonna lie.
Anyway, we are brother-in-laws, for those of you who don't know, and I assume none of you do because you don't know who the fuck we are. But our wives are sisters. His wife and my wife are sisters, so we do share a family. Anyway, we're going to talk about 2024 today, and what'd you say, the dead living corpse?
The living corpse that's in the White House currently trying to actively destroy our nation.
Yeah, he's
not
something
doing
else.
anything actively besides pooping his pants, but
Ah, come on, be nice.
it's true.
I forgot, there's no more nice, right?
Yeah, can you imagine like a day in the White House with that guy?
So, no, I can't. I can't even imagine talking to this guy. Look,
The cabinet meetings must be epic.
I know Trump is Mr. Hyperbole, but the one thing he's got right is this is the worst president of my lifetime. And I'm not even talking politically. I mean, there are things he does that I agree with, I'm sure, to be sure, rather. But I don't know, by what metric can this man, by what neutral metric can this man even be considered a successful president, Mike?
There's none. There's none. I mean, look, after the debate, his approval cratered, even amongst his own so-called base, right?
Which was already about 40%.
Yeah, now it's down. Like they're saying 30, but I think they're trying to be nice. It's probably got to be somewhere in like I don't know, negative numbers by now.
Yeah, he's around Bush territory by now.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Deservedly so. He's a mess. He's the worst. He's undoubtedly the worst president in our lifetime, at least, if not in history. He's going to rank in that top 2, 3 in history, without a doubt.
And I argued for a long time with a lot of people, because obviously you and I surround ourselves with very conservative people. And I was arguing that George W. Bush was the worst president of my lifetime with anyone who would listen. But I would take George W. Bush now in a heartbeat. Well, maybe not. He was a warmonger, but either way.
He was like the Nikki Haley class of the party, right? That we have now, this establishment class. He was the head of the Corruption Incorporated. So George W. Bush was that lifelong politician who was literally just that establishment politician. He was a complete hot mess. So I can't disagree with you on that. I didn't like the man. I didn't think he was.
But if nothing else, he had his
great
moments. His moments after 9/11.
He had some
he showed
clarity and he
great
had
leadership.
some thought of mind. He did have some things that I thought were good.
I'd say between 9/11 and the lead up to Iraq, he was good.
Yeah, definitely. I just find it hard to believe that he got duped about weapons of mass destruction by a CIA that he was actually the head of at one point. He was such a deep state puppet that it wasn't even funny.
Mike, we know now. I mean, there's plenty of documentation. That man wanted war with Iraq from the second he got into the White House.
Without a doubt, yeah.
And he found his excuse.
Listen, he had the personal grief where they went after his father. Then he had the fact that he's part of the establishment Lindsey Graham class, where they make a tremendous amount of money off of guys like me going there and fighting, right? You send your friends home in boxes under flags because somebody else wants to make a few dollars. That's the reality of
and somebody else wants to get reelected. And that's
modern
basically
warfare.
the thing. But this Joe Biden again, just forget the politics, left, right, whatever.
Yep.
Zero accomplishments. I mean, the man.
No.
If you just, do the Reagan test. That's what I always say. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Forget the politics and what you like.
Put it aside.
In what way? You tell me. I mean, just devil's advocate. In what way is this country better off now than it was 4 years ago?
Well, if you're an illegal alien, you're doing great. But if you're an American citizen, you're screwed.
You go right there.
It's true, though, right? I mean, look, The realities are the realities, right? This is I heard it said recently, I believe it was on, actually I read it recently, I believe it was on Twitter, I read it, I forget whose post it was, so if you're out there, let me know, and I'll definitely give you credit. But basically, the controlled demolition of America, right? And I thought it was the most perfectly said statement about his entire administration that I've heard yet, and the most honestly well thought one, because you hear the rhetoric from both sides. You hear it from the left, you hear it from the right. This rah 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 rhetoric trying to get the base going. Throw the red meat to the base, get them all riled up. It's nonsense. Okay, that's complete and utter nonsense, right? We both know that. It's complete garbage. It's propaganda bullshit. I want to hear the truth. I want to hear the facts. I want to hear the figures. I want to know how much it's actually affecting people. I want to know what it really looks like. I want to know what it really is intended to do. And you don't get a lot of that. So when you hear like a very very, very clear statement like that, it's like, wow, that puts it all right there immediately into focus. And it's like, okay, that makes fucking sense. Because if you look at the way everything is, that's exactly what's happening. There's no borders. We have rampant crime. We have a fentanyl crisis nobody's talking about that's killing hundreds of people a day. You have suicide rates that are skyrocketing in the military, law enforcement, and American communities in general. Everything is being destroyed from within. Just literally destroyed from within and taken apart.
And it's a real interesting election, obviously, because it's the first time since 1912 where we have a former president running against a current president. When Teddy Roosevelt tried his Bull Moose run.
And he got shot also.
He got shot too, just like Trump, yeah. And
Trump got shot.
boy, oh boy, you want to talk about a tough guy. A guy standing with a fucking bullet in his chest.
And gave his full speech.
And gave his full speech,
yeah.
Before he went off.
Yeah.
But at least in this election, people have something to compare, because we're only talking about 4 years ago. So it's not like we're talking about ancient history, right? So people can remember. And it is kind of funny how Trump's popularity now is higher than it ever was when he was president. The man never sniffed 50% as a president.
Not even close.
And now he's leading in all the polls. I don't understand why he's not leading by more, but that is what it is.
I think polls can be skewed too, though. But I mean, that's numbers, right? You could always play with numbers.
Sure.
And polls, I mean, we saw in 2016, right? Oh, Hillary's going to win in a landslide. And Hillary got her ass kicked in a landslide.
But we have a record, we have his record, and we have Biden's record. And again, just forget the left, right, or personal politics.
Yep.
I hear people all the time talk about, he passed so many, and he talks about himself like he's fucking FDR. He says, I got more bills passed. Every fucking president signs bills. That's literally their job. They sign bills. Yeah. The question is, did you gear that bill through Congress? Right? Was it your bill?
Was it you initiated?
Right.
You initiated this and you brought it through both houses.
Correct. So say what you want about Obama or Obamacare or whatever, but he got that through. That was his, right? That was his baby, yeah. That's his baby. That was his accomplishment.
Was his, like the jewel in his crown, right?
So he could take credit for that. But, Biden taking credit. I signed the infrastructure. First of all, every president now, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but going back a quarter of a century or more, every president gets their one big bill at the start, right? Every Republican gets their tax cut. Yeah. Every Democrat gets their stimulus. Yep. Right? So Trump got his tax cut. Clinton got his stimulus. Yep. Obama got his stimulus.
Yep. And his Obamacare and a few others.
Right. And Bush got his tax cut.
Yeah, Bush got his tax cut.
They all get that. And it's not really an accomplishment, but it is what it is. At least you could say that's got their name on it, right? That's their baby.
It's kind of like their heritage thing, right?
But after that, Biden's walking around talking about like he's FDR, which, by the way, to me is sacrilegious, because I think he's the greatest president we ever had. And I know you disagree, but maybe we'll do another video on that. But I think he's the greatest president we ever had. But be that as it may, at least those bills were his. Those were his ideas. Those 15 bills he got in the first 100 days, those were his. He got them through Congress. Not that it was hard. I mean, he had I don't know what the numbers were, but it was overwhelmingly Democratic Congress. But still, those were his. Biden had nothing. In fact, his Build Back Better. What the fuck did he call the inflation?
Build Back Better.
Build Back Better.
The Inflation
He had
Reduction
to change
Act.
the fucking name.
Yeah.
He couldn't even get the name to go through Congress, right? He had nothing to do with that.
The Inflation Reduction Act that actually caused more inflation than anything else he's done.
But he takes credit for that, Mike. It wasn't what came out was not his original bill. It was like 1/10 of it. I don't know if you remember, but Joe Manchin and Sinema, they basically told him, "Now we're not even." Joe Manchin told him, "I'm not even negotiating with you anymore."
They gutted it.
Yeah. So if anybody's going to get "quote unquote" credit for it, if you want to call it credit, fine. That's opinion. It would be Chuck Schumer who got it through, right? It wasn't.
Well, no, that was Pelosi and Schumer that pushed that thing through.
Of course it was. So it wasn't Biden. Biden walks around talking like he's the next FDR. He's not. So I can't think of one accomplishment this man has had, anything tangible anyway, anything that that'll go through history. The world is at war.
Yeah.
You know, we got Europe at war, and I'm not saying it's his fault, but he's the leader of the free world.
Yeah.
You know, he's the one who's got to try to fix it, right? I mean, he's the
Well,
one
yeah,
who's got to
he's
do something
probably
about
the one person in the world in the best position to have
it.
an effect on all of that.
Of course. So when he came into the White House, the Middle East was closer to peace than it ever has
You had
been.
the Abraham Accords, and you have more countries getting in there, getting willing to
Sure.
kind of start signing on.
Sure.
He comes into office and gives Iran back $6 billion, and what do you know happened? Oh my God. Hamas has all this funding and now has all these weapons. What the hell happened here? Well,
So
gee, I wonder.
The Middle East explodes.
Yep.
Eastern Europe's facing the biggest land war it's faced since World War II. I mean, it's nowhere at the level of World War II, obviously, but this is the
Well, it's
biggest
limited
it's been.
in scope of geography.
Sure.
But
And
the
it's
amount
got-
of dying is extreme on both
Oh
sides.
my God, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And that this is not headlines every day just drives me nuts. But we're going
That's
to do another
millions
video
of
on
displaced. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we'll do a video on that one. We'll talk
Ukraine.
about that.
But
Unreal.
these are not accomplishments. I cannot, and I can be fair. Again, I've spent my life studying and teaching and history,
Absolutely,
and
I
I
can
could
too.
certainly be fair. But I cannot think of one thing this man has done that can be called a real accomplishment.
I don't think he has any real significant accomplishment, not in a positive way at least. There's no bill, no policy decision, anything that he's done that you could point to and say, look at this positive impact it had on anybody,
Exactly.
even one person.
Exactly.
You know, I can't see any positive impact whatsoever. I mean, Venezuela emptied out their prisons and sent their prisoners and their inmates. I mean, this is the Cuban boat lift all over again, times 100.
So, regardless of what anybody out there thinks about immigration, obviously it's not a good thing to have
Unchecked.
millions and millions of people coming into this country
right?
unchecked.
They're unvetted, they're unchecked. They're predominantly going to be, predatory, and like the cartels are having a field day,
I would imagine.
right?
And-
Human trafficking, drug trafficking, every kind of nefarious activity possible. And then you take all that, you can put all that aside, right? Let's just talk about the one extreme example, which is very much real. The terrorist cells that are moving across that open border and into our cities everywhere. There are sleeper cells in every community now, at the very least, I guarantee
Yeah,
it.
I can't even imagine
Guarantee
that
it.
there wouldn't be. Again, I have no idea. I can't point to anything, but just common sense would say, whenever if you had 100 people in your house right now that you didn't know, the
Well,
odds are one or two of them would be
DHS
bad.
released a report recently where they said there's at least something like 400 and something, known terrorists that are gotaways that are in the country somewhere where they don't know where they are.
So we got
That's at least 400 and something. If you even be even somewhat conservative about the numbers, let's just say out of that 400 and something, if you multiply it by 10, since we have over 21 million at least that we know of that came through that border, you're talking probably 4,000, maybe 5,000 terrorists at least. That's it's an army.
and if not terrorists, obviously they're going to be criminals. And your nephew asked me one time recently. He said when we were talking about an illegal immigrant who killed somebody, he says to me, "Why is that any worse than any other murderer killing somebody?" And I said, "Well, it's easy because that
it's
one was
preventable.
avoidable.
It was
It was
preventable.
avoidable. It doesn't make the life, any less worth living the person who died, obviously.
No, it doesn't
but
make
if
the
it's
crime
preventable,
worse.
it's preventable. And the government has one job, and that's to protect us, right? And
Yeah,
he's not doing a very
that's
good
their-
job
yeah.
with that. So
Protect
we got
Americans, protect American interests. That's their job.
So we got the world exploding into war all over
yeah.
the place in the last 4 years. And yeah, the fundamentals of the economy are fine, but that's because we have a very strong economy. But I mean, for crying out loud, you've gone shopping lately. Everybody out there's gone shopping lately. It's fucking insane. It's fucking insane. So you got the price of gas. Biden will talk about how it's $1 lower than it was last year, which is true, but big fucking deal. It's $1 higher
Well,
than
it's
it
a dollar
was,
lower because they keep friggin' emptying out the reserves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
which is insane.
We're going to take all this fuel we set aside for a real emergency, and we're going to go ahead and pump it back into the economy to lower the gas price so I can look good for that election.
And that's all it
Fuck
is
you.
to look good for the election. So that's bad. So we have inflation, we have the world exploding into war, and he promised to be the quote unquote healer. Remember, he was gonna heal.
Yeah, he was going to be the
divide.
father of America. He's going to bring everybody back together again.
And
And all he's
meanwhile, what
done
does he
is
do?
call us domestic terrorists.
Unbelievable.
Target Catholic people for being Catholic. Target soccer moms at school board meetings because they don't want their kids reading pornographic gay novels in school and
So as
kindergarten.
divisive as Trump was, and he was divisive. Obviously, he's
I mean, Trump.
you
Yeah,
can
well,
say
he
things.
did. He Trump understood the metrics he was facing, right? Trump is, well, I mean, he's a great businessman, obviously. He's very smart. But he's also a great showman, right? He knows how to put on a show. So he knew what he needed to be able to get that attention and get that kind of, that motivated base behind him to carry him forward, to pull that grassroots base to him draw them to him, and bring him forward, propel him to the White House. And
but Biden promised to be the opposite, right? He was going to be this bipartisan guy who was going to be there for
he's
everybody.
going to be for all Americans.
Which is
as long as you're a leftist psycho.
which is an absolute load of nonsense. So he's brought nobody together. If he brought people together, he wouldn't have a 40% approval rating, he'd have a 60% approval rating. Right?
Sure, absolutely.
So he hasn't done that. The prices of things are through the roof, as we said.
Yep.
Gas is at least $1 or $1.50 higher than it was when he got into office. What accomplishment has this man had? None. The answer is none. So now they're talking about pushing him out. They're using his age, but they're pushing him out because they know he can't win. Right?
Yeah, no, he's too unpopular.
Right.
Yeah.
So before the debate, everybody knew he couldn't win. The debate gave the Democrats an excuse
To push him out, which is why they let it happen.
Which is what they want to try to do. So my question to you is, do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing for Trump? Does Trump have a better chance of winning this election against Biden or against candidate X who may come in?
I think Biden staying in the race is probably the best course forward. If Trump, for a Trump win,
Yeah.
Biden being in the race is the best thing ever. Keep trotting that guy out on Adderall, whatever it is they're giving him to make him
You're really not nice.
so we could get the angry Brandon. You remember the one with the dark Brandon, the one where we had the red screens behind him, like the Emperor from Star Wars.
That's the speech.
Keep bringing that guy out. Just keep bringing that guy out till November. We'll win 51 states. There's only 50, But I think it's definitely an easier path forward. If he stays in the race, it's an easier win for Trump. Yeah. If they bring in candidate X, there's not that many people they could choose from, really.
Well, let's say Kamala, because that's the most likely.
Kamala's definitely most likely because the funding is kind of also tied to her. It's like $100 million or something like that if she doesn't run that they can't use. So Kamala's the most likely, either whether she's going to be the VP or the presidential with whoever.
Well, they're not going to replace Biden at the top and have Kamala as number 2. I can't imagine them doing that.
It would be bad for him.
Kamala's on the ticket,
with the
she's
with the DEI thing that they do, I think it would be very bad for him. You're not going to put an old white guy in front of her again because that's kind of like shooting yourself in the foot.
Sure. But I think, if I was advising the Democratic Party, this is what I think would be the best case scenario for the Democrats if they want to win. We were talking about this before. If Biden's not going to run, he should resign the presidency.
Right.
Make her president. She has the power of the incumbency. And like we were talking about before, every new president gets a honeymoon.
Right. And you got 4 months.
Even Trump got a little.
And you got 4 months to rehabilitate her image and
Absolutely.
make her look strong and powerful. And look at this, she's an effective leader or whatever.
Right.
You get the 4 months of kind of getting the base kind of calm back down again and put them back into their little pens where you want them and bring them out, trot them out.
And average American people who aren't, hyper partisan on either side may say, give her a chance. First woman president, obviously.
Sure, absolutely. That'd be the virtue signal aspect of it. Absolutely.
Sure. So I think for Trump, that would be the worst case scenario, is if Biden resigns the presidency, hands it over to her. I think that would be the best way for the Democrats to win.
Strategically, I think that would probably be their only real path forward, their only real shot at even winning. I don't know that they can overcome the damage that's been done already because, a lot of people associate her with the open border where she was the border czar and she knows nothing about the border. So there's a lot of this 4.5 years or so of her from her candidacy for president the first time where she got less than 1% of support in that race against Biden to where Biden selects her as the vice president all the way through the presidency and the vice presidency. So there's a lot of material there that they could use against her. I'm sure Trump's team has has the profiles ready of anybody that potentially might be his running mate, who might be his opponent.
Yeah.
Not his running mate, but his opponent. So I'm sure they're ready for it. But yeah, I think that would give him the biggest run for his money. I think he wins either way, honestly, at this point. I think he has a good shot. I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I think he has a good shot at winning. I don't know that he'll definitely win. I just feel like he's got a good shot at winning. But
I think if Biden stays in, I think he's got a good shot at winning.
If Biden stays in, he's got a great shot at winning. If Biden steps down, and even if Kamala is the number one going forward, I still think he's got a really good shot. Maybe not a great shot, but a good shot at winning. But I think it takes a motivated populace to step back from the hyper-partisan nature of it all and just look at it realistically. And you're exactly right. The Reagan test, are you any better than you were 4 years ago? And his policies were very, very effective.
And that's why, Kamala's obviously going to be more of an albatross to the Democratic Party than a benefit, because she does have that. But if she was the new president, I think she might get a honeymoon. However, if I were the Democrats, I'd be looking at your adoptive state's governor, Kentucky, Andy Beshear.
Yeah.
Who's nobody knows about him outside of Kentucky,
right?
Which is a good thing, right? Because there won't be enough time to really get negative stuff out on him.
Right. You'd have a hard time overcoming anything with.
He's been elected and reelected in one of the deepest red states in America.
Right.
and he'd even have a chance of taking a couple of southern states like Kentucky from Trump.
Sure,
I don't
absolutely.
know if he would, but he'd have a shot.
He would. He would have a shot. And listen, Andy Bashir would be a good strategical pick, but I think the not knowing him thing kind of plays. It's a double-edged sword, right? So you don't have the kind of negativity that you would need to maybe smear him in the time you have, where you could smear him enough that it would stick very well. But at the same time, he has to introduce himself to the American people. Does he have the kind of time he needs to really do that, to build out a campaign like that?
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, we've never really been through anything like this before, right? That I can
No,
think
it's
of.
definitely historic.
Not in modern
Listen,
politics, anyway.
Listen, it's historic. I look at Biden and I see a dementia patient, right? Whatever it is, whatever the Lewy body dementia or Parkinson's, whatever disease, the man's cognitively gone.
Yeah, but even if
it's
it's
not
just
the same guy he was 3 years ago.
He's not
even
well,
remotely.
I disagree with you. I think 3 years ago he was just as bad as he is now. I think they were hiding it better. But
That might be. It might have been medicating, might have been working better or something like that. But
sure.
yeah,
I don't.
maybe the bag of coke really was his.
Stop.
Doing lines on the test.
But by the way, that's another thing I would advise Republicans to stay away from, because Trump does this too much. Nobody gives a fuck about Hunter Biden, in my opinion.
No,
he's got to stop bringing that up. Nobody's going to vote against Joe Biden because his son's a crackhead and a whoremonger.
Listen, his son's a disaster on two legs.
Yeah.
What scares me about the whole Hunter Biden thing, and the only piece of the Hunter Biden thing that I really truly find relevant, I mean, listen, the whole family's reprehensible. They're sick, perverted people. But the only thing that really truly disturbs me about it came out recently, where Hunter Biden is sitting in the Oval Office in his cabinet meetings. Why?
In cabinet meetings?
Yeah. Who the hell elected this guy?
I didn't hear that.
Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. This is like Biden's core team.
Yeah.
And they're sitting in these cabinet meetings. First of all, where's your security clearance? Second of all, who the hell nobody elected you? You smoke crack with Russian hookers and film yourself naked with your niece, dude. Like, no.
But to be fair, lots of presidents have unelected. Karl Rove was never elected to anything either. Louis Howe back with FDR. We were talking about him a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah.
Colonel House with Wilson. They had Jared. What's his name? Jared Kushner.
Jared
Nobody
Kushner,
elected
absolutely.
Jared
But
Kushner.
I mean, I understand having your advisors and having these rules within the organization that have to be there to kind of fill in the blanks or whatever. I get that. But I think we could do far better than a crackhead and this guy's, trophy wife, whatever, pedophilia, trophy wife, whatever.
I just don't think anybody's going to vote on that. Like, I don't think anybody's going to.
I
I don't think anybody's going to vote
segment.
against Biden, and if they are, they're going to vote against Biden anyway. I don't think that they're voting
it's
against
just one
Biden.
more reason, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just that goes in that one more reason column.
And I think when Trump brings that up, it's a waste of
Well, it's a
energy.
distraction,
waste of
but
time.
I mean, again, it's like like we talked about earlier, the propaganda, like throwing red meat to your base, getting them riled up.
Yeah, but do you need to? The base is going to vote for you. I mean, at this, you throw red meat to your base maybe during a primary, but at this point, the MAGA
I don't think it's
nation,
necessary.
MAGA nation is going to vote for Trump.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think it's necessary, but I think he has his I don't want to say script, but it's kind of like his own narrative, right? That he's running on, his own narrative that he's kind of carried through from 2016 till now, and it's developed for sure, and it's gotten much more refined in some ways. But I think a lot of it still has that that edgy kind of let's make fun of this guy, let's make fun of that girl, whatever thing to it. And I think
That's Trump. Obviously, that's his.
So I think
that's his
that
thing.
I don't think you'll see it go away. I agree with you. I think I'd like to see less of that and more about policy.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many people.
Well,
would
and that
like
was my problem with the debate, Mike. Everybody was talking about how Trump won. Obviously, I mean, you debate a guy that's a vegetable.
Cognitively vegetable, yeah.
But at no point did Trump really talk about what he's going to do. I know we're going to do another video on this, but the only thing he ever says about Ukraine is that it wouldn't have happened if he was president.
Sure,
Well, who gives a fuck? It did happen. So,
What are you going to do now?
Now what?
How do you
keep
end
saying
it
I'm going
now?
to end the war in 24 hours. First of all, wars aren't ending in 24 hours. We'll talk about that in the
I got to
video.
throw this out. Did you see the video with the congressman talking about Trump with the Taliban?
No.
So Trump had sat down with Taliban leaders and said, look, they're going to make this plan to withdraw.
Oh, yeah, I did see this. Yeah,
And he tells them, if one American hair,
Yeah.
and one American head is harmed, I'm not going after you guys, I'm going after you. And then hands him a satellite photo of his own house.
Yeah, I saw that.
That is a hell of a negotiator, bro.
Yeah, and that was from
balls
somebody
of
who was
steel.
there. That was not.
Yeah, that was somebody who was sitting in the room.
Right, so that's not just some schmuck on Twitter saying he
Oh
heard
my
this.
God, dude, that was I heard that, I was like, oh,
So again,
that's a negotiator.
That brings us back to where we were
But that's
before,
a
right?
strength.
But that's what Trump could talk about. That's what Trump should talk about. So you could take the Reagan line, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And obviously the answer is no, but then you could add an addendum to that. You could say, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? No. Well, who was there 4 years ago? Me. right, and talk about that. That's really what he should.
There's definitely a lot of
messaging. What he should
messaging.
focus
Yeah,
on.
well, I mean, his team definitely could do better with the messaging. I agree, but he talks about policy. I know the RNC released their policy plans for the after the election and everything, and it was a pretty it was not an extensive list. It was like 20-something items or something like that, and it was pretty much straightforward stuff. But I like the white paper, right? I want to see what the actual policy is going to look like.
Right.
I want to see what the actual. But I'm kind of a political nerd.
He's
like
running
that.
a better campaign now than he did 4 years ago, Trump. No doubt about it.
It's a much more, it's definitely a much more streamlined, much more focused campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, the
it's
Bronx
definitely a
rally
better
was
campaign.
brilliant. The Bronx rally was brilliant. Take the Fight to him was brilliant.
And I think that's where Trump is at his best, right? When he takes a bad situation and makes it. So he's in court.
Yeah.
And the Biden team and the Alvin
Yeah.
Braggs and all of them think they're going to nail Trump,
Twinkies.
and they did. I mean, they got him convicted and whatever. But then the dude goes outside to a freaking bodega in the Bronx
To
or
go meet
Manhattan
people
or wherever it
and
was,
gets cheered.
to meet people and gets cheered.
Yeah.
That's his brilliance. That's something that Biden just doesn't have. And maybe he did at some point in the past. I don't know, but he certainly doesn't have that
He was
capability now.
Biden, as big as a disaster as Biden is, he got elected that many times, like 50 years in government of being elected.
Yeah.
He had something going on in that head. He had something. I mean, policy-wise, he was on the wrong side of every single policy he ever got behind,
Absolutely.
without a doubt. But for whatever reason, the man was able to convince enough people to vote for him that he stayed in office that long.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be able to pull that off this time, to be honest with you, because
I
his
think he's
whole
done.
message is, in 2020, his message was "I'm not Trump," and there were enough people in America at that time who that was good enough for, right? There were people
Sure,
who just
absolutely. There were a
taking-
lot of people who were like, they were tired of the bombastic kind of
Sure.
nature of Trump. They were like, let's get back to a more, normal presidency,
Right.
normal government, whatever.
But he's running that campaign again now, and I don't think that's doing him any help because
No, I think that's kind of hurting him.
Sure.
The I'm not Trump is like, they're like, good, we don't want you, we want Trump back.
yeah, and
People
I think,
want the economy back. They want their jobs back. They want to see the country put back to where it should be.
Yeah.
So I think the next election is going to show exactly that. People looking for a way back to, prosperity
Sure.
and the disparity. The best thing that ever happened to Trump, honestly, was 2020. I mean, as awful as I'm sure it was for him personally and obviously professionally, and for the country, really, because we were all hurting from it. The best thing that ever happened was that, because now they have such a glaring disparity
Yeah.
between the prosperity that he had and the stability and this wanton destruction and chaos the other guy caused.
and he's also got the other advantage, which is, and I'm sure you know that every president looks good in hindsight.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely, yeah.
Every president's poll numbers go up.
Absolutely,
George
yeah.
W. Bush left office at Truman type numbers, right? But
Yeah.
Truman too. He left. I just brought him up. He left office with a horrible, horrible approval rating. Now
Yeah.
almost every historian puts him in the top 5, 7 presidents, somewhere around there.
Absolutely, yeah.
George W. Bush is more popular now than he was president. Trump's got that going for him because presidents just do look better in hindsight. When they're former presidents, they're more popular than when they were president. Everybody thinks Obama was this wonderfully popular president. The guy spent about 80% of his presidency in the 40s, mid-40s percent.
Yeah, he wasn't popular during the time, yeah.
Most people thought he was going to lose in 12.
Although Obama is a very gifted orator, though.
Oh, he's
the
very
man
good.
can speak very well. He's
Yeah.
he's very good. He's very good at spinning
Sure.
the narrative. Complete bullshit, but he's very good at speaking it.
Well, that's being a good politician, being a professional bullshitter. I was looking
That's
at
100% true.
Him, Bill Clinton. I mean, they had that.
Yeah, no, Bill Clinton, another one that was able to kind of really get inside people and really get them. I mean, it was funny to watch Bill Clinton speak. I remember watching him speak, I think it was to the House of Representatives or something like that. And I was watching some very, very conservative politicians at the time, and they're like nodding their heads along with him. And I'm like, he got him. He got
Oh, yeah.
these guys on his side.
I
Like,
was
and
just,
he's very gifted.
C-SPAN had a series of presidential campaign speeches, and I just saw Bill Clinton in New Hampshire in 1992, just giving a speech outside. It looked like a Woolworths or some sort of a Five and Dime type store, and it's just you're just captivated. You listen. You
He's a
can't
storyteller.
not listen. He's really, really good.
So one thing from personal experience with political campaigns, if you're going to speak publicly in any venue, whether it's political or not, but really especially in politics, you have to be a good storyteller.
Sure.
You have to be able to spin a
Hey,
narrative.
well, Biden's a great storyteller. You heard the one about Corn Pop?
How about his uncle got eaten by the cannibals in New Guinea?
What the fuck is wrong with this guy? I
Oh
gotta
my
tell you
God.
something. The only way Trump loses this election is if he blows it somehow.
I think so. I think
And he
he's-
can implode.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, we've seen how many other campaigns have you seen that we're doing like they were soaring? Who we mentioned earlier in '92, he had 15 points ahead,
Oh, you're talking about Dukakis in '88.
Dukakis, 88. That's right. Yeah, he was 15 points ahead.
Yeah,
and he
way ahead in
bombed
the
it.
summer of '88.
And then he bombed it. 88. I couldn't. Sorry, I'm confused.
He
My
did,
dates.
the thing in the tank. Remember, he was in the tank.
yeah, yeah.
He looked like the
yeah,
Great
yeah.
Kazoo there too, right? With the
Yeah,
big
the stupid helmet. You look like an idiot.
Fucking idiot.
Anyway,
Anyway, we'll talk
you
more
drive
about
a
the
tank onto the
elections.
White House lawn. I'm here for inauguration.
Oh God, we'll talk more about the elections as time goes on. See you guys soon. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm not reading your comments. He will though.
I'll read them, and Biden is a cadaver. I am certain of it. I guarantee you he's pooping his pants at cabinet meetings. Jill's there wiping his butt while they're talking about national security.
Listen, believe it or not, this is actually a nice guy. Take care, guys.
Thanks for watching, guys.